G'day Bifrosters. I've had lots and lots of requests to take everybody through this rig that I made. This is my first quote marks real Bifrost when I was still thinking I could do things without even thinking about it, or whatever it was I thought back then. I mean, this was months ago. Anyway, so this is something I put together for a project of my own where I needed to create a landscape, and I'm not an environments person, but I would kind of like to become one because it's really attractive looking at all the scattering and forests. But anyway, I needed to be able to put some telephone poles and fences and wires on curves that I could then edit to match my environment. So this just seemed like a logical thing for me to do, so I did it. And now everybody's kind of telling me that it's awesome, which is nice and somewhat surprising because it's a mess. It was built almost entirely with the help of Maxime over on the, well, now the Slack channel, but then it was back on the Autodesk forums. I'm pretty sure all of those amazing wizards over there got very, very sick of me asking very, very basic questions when I had no idea what I was doing. So what I thought I'd do, this is probably, well, this is almost definitely going to be a multi-parter. What I thought I'd do is that, like, I'd just follow my normal format. So I would take you through how I did it, and we'll go through that, and it's going to take a while, and then we'll try and make it again. And hopefully, doing it this way, we can improve upon it a bit, and you get to see me troubleshoot now that I know a bit more, and all of those things that my sparse and valuable feedback tells me people want. So this is part one, introduction, where I show you through it. What I'm going to do is show you through this, the actual rig, because this is a rig. This is not just some Bifrost fanciness. This is a rig that you should be able to just drop in and use. I've even tested that. It does work. I was part of the way through making the fences. You can see the start of the fences there. I just got to the instancing part. So while we're rebuilding, I'll take this opportunity and we'll do some fences as well. But to start with, here are the poles, and this is how they work. You have a whole bunch of controls over here because this is coming in from Bifrost. Before we even start talking about the Bifrost, let's just have a look at the node editor here. Just make sure we've got the right thing. Now we're in fences, so let's clear that, and let's just show the inputs to this one. Now it looks a lot worse than it is, because you can group these. Okay, so what these are all coming into, I've got attachment points is the first thing we can look at as well. Let's turn on the grid here. I don't know what that quickie did, but it didn't turn on the grid display. Grid snapping, there we go. So what I've got here is a bunch of attachment points, and what they do, they're the parts of the master instance, more or less, that snap onto these points in the poles. So I made them separately, and if you want to see them, I think they're in there. They are, those there. So if I just turn this on so we can have a little look behind the veil, you see this is my master instance pole here, and you can see those 4 locators sitting on the insulators. Those are my attachment points, 2, 3, 4, and that's what these guys are. So they're separate, and the reason for that will become fairly obvious as we go through. But essentially what I'm doing is I'm taking the point that I'm instancing, and then the difference between that point and each of these, and applying it's how I get all of my rotations and movement and how they always stay snapped to the insulators. So those are my attachment points. Let's do that. Over there, you can't add backdrops in the node editor, even though I keep trying. Then we've got some things here which are custom points, and I will show you what those do in just a minute, but for now, just let it be known that those are the ability to add custom points along the curve as instances. And then we've got our input curves. There's 3 of them because I was trying with lots of different things. I've got a rubber surface, that's for Arnold rendering, and then I've got my 2 instances, telephone pole version 1 and telephone pole version 2. They're not terribly different, except one has a little transformer sticking off the back of it. So I know the node editor is not where you expect to go in a Bifrost video, but this one, it's important because all of these are reflected in the Bifröst editor. So there are my custom points, there are my attachment points. I haven't changed this since I sort of stopped working on it and started doing other things, so you're going to have to put up with my idiosyncrasies, and like I said, if we recreate it, we'll do it better. So here are all our controls, and they pretty much mirror here, and then you've got custom points, attachment matrices, and I believe, let's really crowd everything up. Yeah, there'll be input curves here as well somewhere. Curves input, there we go. So, let's come out of Bifröst because we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's see what these things do. The first thing you can do is you can change the number of poles. So that's an instance count. This entire thing is built as instances along a curve. So that's what allows us to, to do stuff like this. We can change the curve path, and the wires and the rotations all nicely move with it. It's not perfect. It was the first thing I did. I'm slightly proud of it, but you can also, if you want to, but it's by no means solid, perfect and working, but you can also run it over hills, into valleys, all of that kind of stuff. So get back to poles. So that first thing is how many telephone poles you would like. 43 is probably a bit much for this length of curve, so I'll take it back. I'll take it to 10. 10's a nice number. Second thing you've got is the number of wires. You can have between 0 and 4. What I want to build into it is the ability to break a wire. I was playing with NPM for a while, but too slow and didn't work. Then you've got rotation randomizations. So I can rotate the instances randomly, like this, in all 3 dimensions. And the same, you've got instance rotations, X, Y, and Z. Mainly you'll just use Y to get some nice angles going on. But the other 2 are there if you want to do like a broken apocalyptic kind of thing. Wire subcount controls how many points are in each curve. So it's essentially how smooth these curves are. You're going to crash. I know why you're going to crash too. That was something I've learned since doing this. If you use the resample strand, you better not let it get below a certain number, at least on my machine, because it kind of falls over and poops the bed, as you're quite aware of, because this is what we're now waiting for Maya to restart. I'm not sure if I'll leave this in, but you know. And we're back. So what was I talking about? I'd gone through wires and the wire subcount. Yeah, I'm going to fix this as we go, but this is essentially the number of divisions in your wires. Do not drop this below 3. But you can see here, it's essentially how smooth the wires are, and it's doing this by resampling the strands. You can change the amount of sag on the wires, so you can have them very taut, like that. You can have them quite floppy. These are not in any particular order right now, but you can randomize that sag too by just turning that on, and you'll get some that are floppy and some that are tight, and it all depends on what this number's set to. So it's just a way of getting a more randomized look. Then you've got which curve you want to use. So at the moment I'm using curve 0 there, curve 1 there, or curve 2 there. I have 3 curves plugged in. You can add more. You just do that in the node editor like we were looking before. So we'll go back to 1 because that's the one with more 3D movement. You've got a seed on your rotation, which isn't really doing much right now because we don't have much randomization going on. So if I add some randomization and play with the rotation seed, you can just see little bits of randomness turning up in there. Again, it's just a look thing. Randomized sag, we've had a look. Cull random. You can kill some of the poles. Turn that off for now, including normal and rotation. That will take the normal of the curve. If you turn it off, it's basically just doing it straight up in the Y direction. Happy. And then use custom points. Turn that on and these locators turn up. And these are the custom points that we've added in. So there's custom point 0. The red circle is the distance from the curve you need to be, I believe. There we are. picked up one. That's what I'm too high. That's why. There we go. Yeah. The red circle is the distance from the curve you need to be. So this is a completely random point, but you need to be within a certain distance of the curve for it to pick up and add a new one. So this enables you to do art direction sort of stuff. It automatically fits it all in. We'll get custom point 2 back in line, so it's behaving itself a little bit better. But it doesn't really add any new points. It's just allowing you to move off the curve a little bit, but you get the idea. I can then essentially move this around to get a more custom look, and as long as it stays within a certain distance of the curve, it's going to be happy and fun. So that's pretty much it. That's the intro. That's how the rig works. What we'll do in the next part, which I will work on shortly, is I will go into the Bifröst graph and I'll take you through how it does what it does. All right, thank you very much.